A major shake-up is coming. Accounting firms have been under the spotlight since revelations some of PwC's senior partners misuse confidential government information to help multinational clients minimise tax.
The consulting sector has been operating in the shadows for way too long.
During the 14-month-long inquiry, senators clashed with PwC staff over the firm refusing to detail the actions of international partners. Labor Senator Deborah O'Neill says the government wants to overhaul the structure of Big Four firms to increase accountability and transparency.
They operate a partnership model, which is supposed to mean that they are all jointly and severally liable for what happens. But what we've seen as they've hit the headwinds of being confronted by the federal parliament is that they've run from the ship.
Among the 12 recommendations, PwC must come clean and give the names of partners and personnel who breach confidential government information. The public service must minimise the use of consultants who should act in the public interest and detail how they'll manage conflicts of interest. The amount spent by the government on consultants would be published, and a committee would review projects worth $15 million or more. And a probe into the partnership structure of the Big Four would be carried out so these firms face greater oversight.
It is very clear that the Big Four are massive pseudo-corporations. They're not bound by corporations law, they're not bound by the whistleblower protections. Ultimately, they're not bound by anything at all. And as a result, we've seen them be able to do everything and anything for cash.
Former KPMG partner and whistleblower Brendan Lyon says the Big Four need to be brought under a company structure that's regulated by corporate watchdog ASIC.
They have a liability-free, consequence-free operating model. They don't pay corporations tax, they don't pay stamp duty on the partnership distributions.
Former ACCC boss Alan Fels wants more drastic changes. He says nothing short of a complete split between the auditing and consulting functions of Big Four firms will stop conflicts of interest.
If the auditor is also looking over their shoulder at the possibility that a tough audit will cost them lucrative consulting and tax advice business, they could be compromised.
The federal government is likely to take its time to implement changes, and the Big Four firms are considering the recommendations. But it doesn't stop there for the industry. There's a criminal investigation into a former PwC partner and a number of other inquiries that could result in further recommendations about the governance and structure of Big Four firms.
Now, these are no small things to change, and they certainly can't be done on the fly, just on a whim and an emotional response to the evidence we receive, no matter how egregious and horrifying some of that evidence is.
Until then, there are fears the Big Four could still operate in the shadows.